Now, whether the energy transition is about building an energy system or transforming it, it often comes in conflict with nature, and nature's scarce resources. And too often, nature loses when energy security is prioritized. Someone who has spoken on behalf of nature since the age of 12 is Gina Gylver, who describes herself as a climate activist. During her time as leader of Young Friends of the Earth Norway, she and her organization did not only protest against the violation of indigenous people's rights and the pollution of Norwegian fjords, they also filed environmental lawsuits against the Norwegian government. The most recent case just received a judgment from the EFTA court, which was in favor of the plaintiff. Gina Gylver, she is currently working as an advisor on oceans at WWF, and today she's here to remind us of another dimension of the just transition, respecting the value of nature and recognizing its importance even in times of geopolitical crises. So please welcome Gina Gylver. The floor is yours.
Humanity has achieved incredible things. We landed on the moon, we dived into the deepest ravines of the ocean, we created computers that outsmart us. Still, we cannot seem to be able to hold two thoughts in our heads at the same time when it comes to nature and climate crisis. I'm both an environmental activist and a climate activist, and for me those two roles are inseparably linked because we cannot solve one crisis without solving the other as well. Yet, again and again, these two are put up against each other, forcing us to choose. But who sets the terms for these choices? Who decided that we have to choose between a living nature and a livable climate? We need to think outside the box and start asking entirely different questions if we want to have a habitable planet. I didn't start out as an environmental activist. I started just with the climate part. I grew up in the city center in the middle of Oslo. My family is not a typical outdoor enthusiast Norwegian family. My close nature was city parks and football fields. I joined the climate movement because I was scared, because I felt betrayed by the previous generation, because I realized that the adults were not in control and that they lived every day in a way that kept burning my future, which is a scary realization when you're 12 years old. It also came from the realization that climate change is brutally unjust, that the rich people destroy and the poorest people pay the highest price. In the climate movement, I fought against climate change and also Norwegian oil expansion. And the organizations, they led me to fjords and mountains I had never heard of before, out in nature, learned me about all the fascinating things about the trees and the coral reefs and the birds, all the dead things that live, all the living things that live in dead trees, and also the connections between the crises that we are facing. Nature is our most important defense system against climate change. It prevents landslides, it purifies air and water, it stores carbon, it gives us food and medicine. Nature is also hope. When we stop destroying the seabed and stop allowing overfishing, then the fish return. If we stop spraying mowing the grass, spraying the fields, then the insects, they come back. But we are reaching those tipping points where there is no way back. We have a system where politicians are forced to choose between nature considerations and so-called socio-economic concerns. Highways, shopping malls, the cabins that we Norwegians love to build in nature in order to experience it. Taxes and satisfied voters. But how do you put a price tag on nature? 2 years ago, I went into the Ministry of Oil and Energy together with my Sámi friends and fellow activists to protest the ongoing human rights violation on Fosen, not far from here, where the indigenous people of Fosen have lost their traditional land to wind power. We blocked that ministry for several days, and later 11 other ministries. We gathered hundreds of people in the middle of Oslo for a protest camp. We met with the Prime Minister, the Minister of Energy, the President of the Sámi Parliament. We forced an acknowledgement of the human rights violation, an official apology to the people of Fosen, and also the start of a process that could give them at least some justice. All the journalists wanted to know how a group of environmental activists could protest against renewable energy. Don't we have to make any sacrifices in the fight against climate change? And our answers were always the same. Yes, we do have to compromise in the fight against climate change. But we do not compromise on human rights. Those sacrifices, they start with the highways, with the cabins, with the shopping malls, with the data centers. All over the country, nature is being sacrificed for those projects every single day. That's where we have to start. Prioritize. The transition that we are going through, it has to be just. It has to be fair. And we cannot keep making the same mistakes over and over again that humanity has made so many times, where powerful people take advantage of others to cover up the mistakes that they themselves, or the problems that they themselves created. And let's talk about those powerful people, or the companies. Equinor, the Norwegian oil company, changed its name from Statoil in 2018. They market themselves as a broad energy company. They advertise wind turbines and CCS technology and hydrogen powers. They sponsor student organizations, universities, football teams, Lego competitions for kids. They are the main sponsor of this event. A couple of weeks ago, they announced large cuts in renewable projects. In fact, they are reducing their investments in renewables for the next 3 years with 50%. They are laying off 250 people in green projects. In 2024, 0.4% of the total energy they produced was renewable, which means the remaining 99.6% were oil and gas, burning the planet, demanding human lives every single day, drowning island states, destroying forests through droughts and fires, melting glaciers, reducing millions of people's access to water. Equinor is not a broad energy company. They are not driving the transition forward, which is hard to realize for Norwegians because it is our state-owned company. The oil industry is a roadblock, stealing resources, people, investments, power, land from the real green solutions. Also, they want to electrify their oil platforms with wind power from land to reduce their own emissions. 98% of the emissions will remain the same when the oil is being burned abroad, but it looks good for Equinor. The result? They keep pumping up oil and gas while huge, valuable areas of nature are being destroyed to secure enough power. We are going through an energy transition, and it will require interventions in nature, but we can actually choose how much. We can actually demand that we prioritize, that we say no to the shopping malls and the highways and electrifying the oil platforms, so that we have enough or some space remaining for the really, really important interventions that has to be made. We can do it in a way that prioritizes people and nature over profit. The world is dark right now. Palestine, Ukraine, Sudan, Trump. But the climate and nature crisis will not go away on its own. It will just keep getting worse, spiral out of control, and worsen all the other crises that we are already facing. It does seem impossible sometimes and hopeless sometimes, but social movements are not created when everything is going well. I hope that we have hit rock bottom, that you feel the same lump in your stomach as I do, the urge to do something, that you are ready to stand up, to organize, to ask questions, to demand change, to fight back. And do not let the fossil industry set the terms for which solutions are possible. It has been proven many times that their solutions are not for the best for all of us and for the future. Thank you.